Goodbye Treyarch and goodbye Treyarch Zombies for the next 26 months. Now that the Archon Zombies map is released, the Vanguard Zombie season is well and truly over, and in this video I wanted to retrospectively take a trip down memory lane, look at every moment of the roller coaster that this year of Zombies has been, and talk about the highs and the many lows along the way. So get comfy, grab yourself a drink and a snack, mine is Sneak, which you can get with code Dalek in the link below. This is going to be a long one. On October 7th, 2021, Treyarch released the final Zombies map for Black Ops Cold War Forsaken. This map contained a full-on Easter egg with several in-game cutscenes, a full-on boss fight, a brand new wonder weapon, and a very rewarding ending cutscene being over 4 minutes in length, all in-game, that revealed some incredibly exciting story revelations such as Richtofen being the director of Requiem, the surprise treatment of the officers of Requiem, and a 5-year later cliffhanger with Dr. Peck, setting up a perfect cliffhanger for what's next to come in this story. This final map played well, had a ton of content and Easter eggs, including a new wonder weapon, full-on boss fight. The community were very happy with this map and how it all ended. And we all assumed that we'd be waiting several years later from this point to see Treyarch Zombies return. Much to our surprise and shock, just 1 week later, Treyarch returned, introducing Call of Duty Vanguard Zombies. For the first time in Call of Duty franchise history, a crossover was happening where Treyarch Studios were developing a Zombies mode in a game not created by Treyarch. For years, fans of Zombies have only dreamt of this situation happening, but it's really happening here. In their own words, this marked the opening of a new chapter in the Dark Ether story that began with Black Ops Cold War, serving as a prequel story. The initial reveal trailer we got looked incredibly promising, with the focus of the Dark Ether story to the disturbing occult activities carried out during World War II. It was a completely new tonal direction for Zombies that had not been seen since World at War, and artistically it looked really good, a sharp contrast to what we just witnessed with Cold War. A lot of the mechanics introduced in Cold War returned in the form of field upgrades, which were now poised as artifacts linking to different Dark Ether gods. There were several new zombie enemy types created. It was clear from this first presentation of Duran Fang that Treyarch had a clear vision with this mode. Well, I can't lie, when we first saw imagery like this, it really gave me the same vibes for the poster reveals we got for all the Zombies maps in Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4. As the first look video goes on, we see that there are multiple different arenas as part of this map. Duran Fang all have this creepy horror vibe to it, which is exactly what fans of Zombies were screaming out for during Cold War season, as all of the maps felt like there wasn't really a lot of unique character to them. But very shortly after, we realized that all of these areas as part of this map are multiplayer maps reskinned for Zombies. Now, we did see this in Cold War with Outbreak, but this time they had a very stylized look to them, and in that sense could feel very different to the multiplayer counterpart. The most intriguing of all was seeing that Shino Numa was going to be featured in this map, which led to a mixture of excitement and confusion from fans. Overall though, most people were on board. However, it's when the marketing then turned towards the gameplay that people started to have some reservations. Outbreak was a brand new mode introduced with Cold War, which was a more open world Zombies experience where instead of round-based gameplay, you completed objectives. Duran Fang was marketed to be a combination of the two, containing elements of classic round-based with objective-based gameplay, resulting in a fast-paced experience that plunges you right into the action. Now, the Outbreak mode in Black Ops Cold War definitely divided a lot of players, but it was clear to see that Treyarch were testing the waters here with this objective open-world style gameplay to adapt it in the future to be even better. But to be getting something in a similar vein to that so soon after Forsaken, that was marketed as a combination of classic round-based with objective gameplay, was something that most people were on board with. Furthermore, one of the biggest gameplay changes that Treyarch were making were the introduction of a system called the Altar of Covenants. It's aimed to turn Zombies into a more rogue-like game. Every match, you'd be creating unique gameplay builds never experienced before in Zombies, which changed up how you play. Skip forward a few weeks and we get the intro cinematic for this, and it looks to be of the same quality as Black Ops Cold War. A really high-quality CGI cutscene which lays the foundations of this prequel story, taking place simultaneously with the very beginnings of D Machina's story. But when November 5th rolled around, everyone got their hands on Call of Duty Vanguard, excited to jump back into new Treyarch Zombies, and within day one, players noticed that something was slightly wrong here. There was not a single essence of round-based gameplay in this game at all. Typical match starts right in the center of Stalingrad, where it's a small starting area where you have 3 objective portals as well as the Pack-a-Punch machine, which already felt very very jarring because traditionally zombies maps have a journey in order to get them, such as a small quest or at least opening up doors, getting on power, but none of those normal fundamentals were here. You just had 3 objective portals. These teleported you to 3 different areas where you had 3 different objectives. These 3 objectives got repetitive very quickly, as it soon came to focus that all of this mode involved you doing is completing an objective, being put back in this area, and going and doing another objective, and so on and so forth. The hub area did expand with perks and different areas for you to discover, but once that progression has finished, the only thing that there is to do is to just keep completing objectives. There was no end game or any rewards granted for pushing higher and higher through these objective rounds. You know it's worrying. In the official Call of Duty blog post, when questioned how long does each match last, it says most matches can end with an exfil in 20 minutes. And at that point, you really have experienced everything that Vanguard Zombies on launch had to offer with Duran Fang. This caused an outrage with the Zombies community and the wider Call of Duty community, who were shocked that Treyarch, the creators of Call of Duty Zombies, had created something that felt so underwhelming in content that it tarnished Treyarch's reputation for creating zombies, as well as tarnishing Vanguard as a whole. Clearly, there were some issues with development behind the scenes that we only begun to understand a few weeks and months after the launch. And one fundamental feature which shocked people the most was the fact that this launched with 0 Easter eggs. There was no Easter egg main quest or any side Easter eggs. It was just focused on this objective gameplay. It took several months before we got some expansions to this hub world, which included a small prologue Easter egg, if you can call it that, that's set up for the next DLC map. Duran Fan laid down the foundations for a awesome new occult setting for Call of Duty Zombies, but just felt completely void of the content that we've come to expect all the time from Treyarch zombie map releases. On top of all that, Treyarch completely reworked how the perks and the field upgrades worked compared to Cold War. In Cold War, you earn a currency called crystals, which you could spend to upgrade your perks before going into a game where you'd have these upgrades permanently. Likewise, when it came to upgrading your field upgrades. In Vanguard, however, they stripped that system completely back, and so you have to upgrade the perks whilst you're in the game, meaning you have to buy the same perk multiple times in order to get the upgraded benefits. From the very get-go, I'd say this system was flawed because you have to spend a stupid amount of points just to get all your perks at the highest upgrade level, being level 4. Now, on one hand, I can see why Treyarch made this decision, because perhaps maybe it wasn't too obvious for casual players that they could upgrade their perks in a menu. So this way, it's very obvious, you know when you're upgrading your perks in game, but I feel it's just way too expensive in order to fully upgrade all your perks. I think as a base concept, it's a good idea, but the execution in this game just does not work in my opinion. And at launch, I just couldn't help but feel like the game's systems felt like a bit of a downgrade compared to what we got used to with Cold War, which was such a significant change for zombies. What I will say that's a positive about the perks is that the actual designs of the machines, which are now perk fountains which you drink from, is super cool. I just wish it wasn't so damn expensive. A month later, a new objective purge and radios were added to the map, and then a further month later in January, a new objective Void was added. Void objective was Treyarch's immediate answer to the cries for round-based zombies gameplay. This objective teleported you to Shino Numa with essentially round-based mechanics of endless waves of zombies. Every 3 rounds, you were given the option to either flee or continue to survive. This objective had the Pack-a-Punch machine, but aside from that, there was nothing else round-based about it, and fans were not happy. Oh yeah, and did you forget that this launched with 0 Pack-a-Punch camos, 0 wonder weapons, and you couldn't even pause the game in solo. It was painfully obvious that Treyarch were new to creating zombies on this engine, and ideally if they had more time to develop this mode before release, some of these fundamental features would have been there on launch. It seemed that no matter what Treyarch added to Duran Fang, it did not improve the gameplay experience in any way, because fundamentally it was the repetitive objective gameplay that people could not get on board with and could experience in its entirety in one match. Whilst you could also say something very similar with round-based zombies, at least there is a lot more depth in general to those environments and that gameplay. At this point, it was very clear that Treyarch had definitely heard the fan feedback and criticism for Vanguard Zombies and was trying to revert course, something which I'm sure was not in their original plan. And we know that for sure, as on February 14th, 2022, we got our second map in Vanguard Zombies, Terra Maledicta. This delivered delivered a very similar gameplay experience to Doran Fung, but in a brand new location, which included multiple locations not seen before: Egypt's eastern desert, Berlin, and the Dark Ether itself. This made a refreshing visual change to the dark, moody tones of Doran Fang, and genuinely introduced some really cool areas, especially the Dark Ether area itself, the corrupted lands. And more importantly, it launched with more content, including a main Easter egg quest finally for the first time in the game. However, very quickly on, players realized that this Easter egg was far from the Easter egg quests of old, where there was genuine difficulty and puzzle solving, as all it involved was playing the objective rounds and listening to talking stones around the map. After waiting over 3 months for an Easter egg quest to be put in Vanguard Zombies, for it to be something this simple that anyone could jump in and without even realizing could complete this on their first playthrough, really disappointed players, and further cemented Vanguard Zombies into the rut that it found itself in with Doran Fang. To give credit where credit's due, the art direction again was fantastic for this map. It was bright, it was vibrant, the Dark Ether corrupted lands looked amazing. That doesn't let us ignore the faults that Terra Maledicta has, with the fact that it's just the same objective gameplay as Doran Fang. Treyarch did their best to add more content than Doran Fang with that main Easter egg quest, as well as some side Easter eggs as well, but overall it still felt very underwhelming in content compared to what we were used to from Treyarch Zombies. At this point, it looked like a lot of the Zombies community just completely wrote off Vanguard. People wanted Treyarch to completely drop development on the mode from this point onwards and not add anything else. It seemed near impossible for Treyarch to redeem themselves. Fast forwarding to April, where Season 3 was on the horizon for Vanguard and Warzone, Treyarch dropped a blog post with some shocking announcements. 6 months after launch, round-based Zombies was finally coming to Vanguard. No one actually expected Treyarch to shift their focus onto adding round-based Zombies into the game, but wanted to be very transparent about the fact that this was not going to be quick. This involved extensive system development from the ground up in a variety of areas such as design, implementation, round-based wave spawning and AI pathing, door buys, wall buys, and more, which at first sounds absurd as they've been making round-based Zombies since 2008 with all of these mechanics, but Vanguard was on a completely different engine to anything that Treyarch had ever created before, meaning they had to recreate these systems from scratch for the first time, which has both positive and negative implications. Negatives were that it took several months for us to finally see round-based Zombies come into Vanguard, but the positives is that Treyarch are now very knowledgeable on creating round-based Zombies on this engine, and this is the same engine that they're going to be using in their next game, essentially giving them a heads up and an almost beta phase of sorts of creating Zombies on this game engine. The wait felt like forever, but on June 22nd, we got ourselves Shinonuma Reborn, a reimagining of the full scope of Shinonuma, freshly enhanced with an all-new main quest, side quests, a brand new area, wonder weapon quest, the flogger, trap, and electro defenses, remastered Easter eggs, and new Dark Ether narrative. And you know what? Shinonuma Reborn was damn good fun. Is it the most perfect round-based map they've created ever? Absolutely not, but I would say it's without doubt the best version of Shinonuma to date. It is a stark contrast to Doran Fang and Terra Maledicta, almost feeling like it's a completely different game. It really does feel like playing a classic Zombies map from Treyarch, but it includes some of the new systems that Vanguard Zombies added and puts them to really good use here, with Covenant system switching up round-based gameplay, as well as just having a really good main Easter egg quest, which I don't think any of us were expecting. There were steps which have some actual logic in order to solve. It didn't feel like your hand was being held all the time during it. The boss fight of the map was nothing special, but we did get a ending cutscene, be it just a few photos, a slideshow, but at least there was something as a reward for completing the Easter egg. And as a round-based Zombies map, it's surprising how well this plays. The only negatives I can really think of with this is Zabala the Deceiver as a mini-boss. That's the only thing that lets this map down, but aside from that, this was a real valiant return to form for Treyarch, and it really looked promising for the future of Vanguard Zombies. Considering Treyarch only had a few months to put this all together with what was obviously a much smaller development team than what typical Treyarch Zombies maps have, they've done a good job. And it was obvious that round-based Zombies in this game was definitely the way forward. Why they did not decide to launch with this was absolutely puzzling, but rather on dwell on the fact of why they didn't, at least it was finally here. Rather than ignore the fan feedback and criticism, they reverted what whatever they were planning to do in order to fully develop round-based zombies and deliver Shinonuma. But we also cannot ignore the fact that Shinonuma is a map from 2009, a map that's over 13 years old, coming back for the 4th remaster. It's clear that it was not Treyarch's intentions to originally remaster this map, but that's what we got, and it was a really refreshing change for Vanguard Zombies. We got the iconic Wonder Waffle DG2 back, and there was even mentions about the Chaos storyline from Black Ops 4. For those that stuck around and gave Shinonuma a try, we were all pleasantly surprised and excited that Treyarch announced that there was one more round-based zombies map to come. Vanguard Zombies concludes in Season 5 with the Archon. From narrative intel, we knew this map was going to be set in Egypt, but we had no idea what exactly the map was going to be. Little did we know that this map was going to be a literal round-based zombies version of Terra Maledicta. The only difference is that it has a green tint to it. It's fair to say that the reception to this was not great. However, Treyarch made sure to market that rather than devoting valuable dev time to additional features and more covenants, they placed a priority on creating a truly memorable boss fight on a scale rarely seen in zombies. The Archon released, and well, the boss fight definitely didn't disappoint. Cortifex's boss fight is on a scale that's rarely seen before in zombies, with multiple phases, different strategies needed in order to complete each one, Cortifex having multiple different attacks. This boss fight proves right here that Treyarch still have it in order to make really good fun gameplay boss fights like this, and I commend them for doing that. Is it the best boss fight ever seen in Treyarch Zombies? Definitely not, but by no means is this boss fight a disappointment. The actual Archon Zombies map, however, is just not very good. The reason why Shinonuma round base works so well is because the map is fairly small and tight. This is a much bigger open scale map, has not been edited or adjusted whatsoever for round-based gameplay. It's simply just copied and pasted from Terra Maledicta, so it doesn't play like a round-based zombies map should. Zombie spawns are slow, too far away, and the map feels lifeless. The real main thing that this map has going for it is, of course, the Easter egg and the boss fight. The Easter egg quest is okay. It's nothing amazing. It's not as good as Shinonuma, but there are some steps where we've not actually seen Treyarch do this before, with one section of the Easter egg making you do a 1-minute challenge with some scenarios that we've never seen Treyarch throw at players before, and it felt a little bit like the final Exo Zombies DLC Easter egg where you have to do a load of challenges that Oz gives you, and we've got the same thing here. There's also a little bit of a vague step where you need to buy Molotovs and throw them at torches, which is not obvious. We can at least say that our hands aren't being held the entire way through this quest. It strikes a balance of there being a little bit of a challenge, something that most players will get through without too much trouble, and get to the standout feature of the map, which is the Cortifex boss fight. The biggest disappointment of all about the Archon is the fact that it is a remaster of a map that we already had, which was really poorly received and does nothing to improve on it in any way. It's a round-based experience with Shinonuma where we had innovations with a wonder weapon quest, a fun Easter egg quest, multiple side quests, and generally fun gameplay. You can tell a lot of passion and care was put into the Shinonuma experience, and it's the absolute opposite with the Archon, feeling so devoid of the things that Shinonuma got right and what round-based zombies should play and feel like. And as someone that really enjoys the storyline in Call of Duty Zombies, despite the gameplay issues with Vanguard, I was really into the storyline. We were introduced to this new scary villain called Oberfuhrer Wolfram von List, who had bonded with Cortifex, the Deathless, a former lord of the Dark Ether. All these Dark Ether entities and their designs were so cool, and the idea of it all expanding on this Dark Ether narrative was a really cool prospect because we've never had a prequel story in COD Zombies before. But to get to the ending with the Archon where we defeat Cortifex and we literally get zero dialogue of what happens to conclude this story, it just feels so unlike Treyarch to do that. Now, I think the reason behind this is because Treyarch did not plan to end Vanguard Zombies the way they did. They probably planned to do several more objective-based maps, have a ton more storyline happen on those maps, and get to this ending in a very different fashion. Treyarch have always been known to have cliffhangers at the end of their zombie seasons, but this is not even a cliffhanger or have anything at all that connects this to the beginnings of the Cold War story with Project Endstation. Like, for this game to serve as a prequel, we need to learn more about Zykov, as he consumed everything in the Dark Ether to become the Forsaken, which includes consuming Cortifex and any other Dark Ether entity that is in his way. And the other characters that were part of this storyline, like Von List and Gabriel Kraft, have no significance to the Cold War zombie story, beyond just a name reference. This has to be the first time that Treyarch has ended a storyline, especially this is the very end of this storyline where there's no real satisfying conclusion. This to me, as well as the entire Archon package, demonstrates just how stretched the Treyarch dev team are. In an ideal world, we would have had all of the Treyarch dev team that are traditionally on for a zombies map creating this experience, but due to the mess that is video game development, they unfortunately can't be doing that as they are working on additional help from Infinity Ward with Modern Warfare 2, as well as creating their own Black Ops game in 2024, as well as a rumored free-to-play COD game from Treyarch coming next year, as well as the fact that they had to create Vanguard ranked play, and this was all during the time where they were still churning out content for Cold War during its year of support. We know that this team are capable of creating absolutely phenomenal experiences from the various campaigns, multiplayers, and zombies maps that we've had over the years. But it's obvious from the very get-go with Duran Fang, Treyarch did not have the big team that they usually have. They didn't have the big budget that they usually have in order to create something really brand and of the quality we're used to. And instead, we got the Frankenstein that is Vanguard Zombies. Now, despite all the negatives, there are a few positive things to take from this Frankenstein year of zombies, as much as that's hard to believe. The first being that Treyarch finally have all the time in the world to go and create the best zombies experience yet for 2024. Treyarch have been stuck in a seemingly perpetual cycle since 2018 with Black Ops 4's rocky development that they've not had the full 3-year dev cycle in order to create their own game. Black Ops Cold War, they only had 12 to 18 months to create, which wasn't even their own game. Imagine how good a game from Treyarch will be when they have the full 3 years to work on it. Rather than it be a skeleton crew of developers, this will be the full Treyarch Zombies team, delivering a quality that is going to be up there with Black Ops Cold War Zombies, if not even better. Another positive is the Covenant system. Don't think it was fully implemented to its full potential. At the end of the Vanguard Zombie season, it felt like they had a lot more purpose than at launch, and the system overall being a little bit more fleshed out. I reckon it could be a good addition. Whilst the gameplay portion of this mode was really weak, the art direction was incredibly strong. Like, I still can't get over how awesome Cortifex looks, as well as all the other Dark Ether entities. Some of the map environments, like all of Shinonuma, the Dark Ether portion of Terra Maledicta, and some visual parts of Duran Fang, fill me with confidence that Treyarch will be able to deliver some really great atmospheres and environments in their next game. So what comes next for zombies? Well, for the next 26 months, it looks like we aren't going to be getting any zombies at all, which has not been the case since 2013 with the release of Call of Duty Ghosts. So we've been waiting that many years for Treyarch Zombies to return, or any sort of COD Zombies for that matter. But I think in this situation, I think it's probably for the best that we don't see any new zombies from Call of Duty for the next 2 years. Just like what we had with Modern Warfare, you have that time off. It stops players from getting overwhelmed with too much zombies. And when that moment comes in 2024 where Treyarch announced their next Black Ops game and the reveal of Zombies, the reaction of waiting so long is going to be electric. And a break from zombies is definitely what we need after this year, and Treyarch certainly need it, as they need time in order to create some great zombies content. And when Treyarch don't have the time and they are rushed, then the content we saw with Vanguard is the outcome. I really hope you guys enjoyed this trip down memory lane, freshen your mind on everything that happened this year. If you did enjoy the video at all, please leave a like to support, and you can check out another video on your screen right now.